This isn't just about what we're eating. This is about what we're allowed to say, what we're allowed to know. It's not just our health that's at risk.
The companies don't want farmers talking. They don't want this story told.
Oh man, have you guys ever watched a movie and said, that movie? Yes, that movie, that video, that song, that story, that podcast, that book, that changed my life. Food Inc. That was the one for us. Let's talk about it. So we just rewatched Food Incorporated. I wanted to remember the emotions that we felt last year when we watched this movie and the direction that it changed for us in our lives, really before we were even homesteading. What?
Our idea.
Yeah, our idea of food have changed. This is Becky, by the way. She hasn't been in a video in a couple days, so in case you haven't met her. And Becky's, I was telling her, she's the decision maker on where we get our food, on what groceries we get, and just to get her thoughts because she's the one out picking these things out. And along with this movie, Food Incorporated, we watched a movie the other day. All we do is watch movies pretty much, and then we make movies. So, and then sometimes we play outside with our animals. But a movie we watched the other day was called At the Fork, and it's a new movie, was really well made and a little different from Food Incorporated, but along the same lines of treatment of animals. On the same line was used in both movies, which was you vote for your food by the dollar is how you vote. So I wanted to get Becky's thoughts on the movie and what she thinks about with the direction we're heading, with what she thinks about when she gets our groceries, how that has affected her, this movie, and different things in our lives, how that has affected where we get our food from.
After watching Food Inc., it really opened our eyes on the big picture of where our food came from. So going to the grocery store, having to pick out either the cheapest or the best for you, it's hard because you'll see the price difference, so you got to decide on what's best for your family.
How do you make that decision when you're like, give an example of when you were faced with two priced items and you saw organic being more expensive and you saw something else, the cheaper option. Give like an example, maybe both ways, of when you would choose the organic option and then maybe an option of something else where there's just the price is too high and that you go with the cheaper option.
Usually I go to the cheaper option on fruit. I find fruit, especially in the winter time when it's out of season, I buy the non-organic fruit and sometimes vegetables in the winter time because it's cheaper instead of buying organic, because just sometimes it doesn't add up in your budget.
And what don't you compromise on that you want to stay with organic? You're willing to pay the price for something that's organic.
Right now we consume a lot of dairy products. We eat a lot of cheeses and yogurt, milk. We find our own sources of meat. We grow our own chicken, our own turkeys. We have our own hamburger and beef, and we find sources of lamb. So we find ways of our own meats, but the dairy is what I find that we consume a lot of, so I want to make sure I do the best on that.
Broken apart. Teddy! Uh-oh, it's always Teddy!
And we know that that's a whole nother debate for a whole nother video, is the labeling. And because we've heard, especially in At the Fork, they talk about the levels of just because something says it's USDA organic, and there's so many, it may be organic, but it's, you know, not grass-fed or things that we really would love to have, but it's a better option than what's available, the generic stuff in the store. So, but then bringing it back into this movie, you know, that makes this such a powerful movie, Food Incorporated for us, you know, looking back to last year when we first got chickens and then decided to start meat chickens, and then it really motivated us to really start growing our own food and just figuring out how to be self-sustainable, and then finding other people that are doing the same things, and kind of building this community of homesteaders and finding ways to provide for ourselves has been such a big motivator. And it all started, we were already out in the country, but we weren't being self-sustainable. We were just living in the country, still doing the same habits. So it was really, I feel like this movie was the thing that kick-started all of it. Did you feel, is that what you felt like you got most out of this movie? Was it when we raised chickens, or what was it for you that...
No, I think it was a big movie. It was a movie that opened my eyes to ignoring where our food came from. Because you have, like before, you just, oh, well, we can't afford organic, or we can't afford the best type of food, all grass-fed. We'll just get by with what we can afford. And then making that point where you're like, I really have to make that decision, because you are what you eat. So,
and it's only strengthened our decision. Mom has had cancer, and not too long ago, and that definitely had an impact. And then you may have seen on the video yesterday, Jason with Sow the Land, that he had cancer, and that changed the whole path of his life, and moving his family across country and start homesteading. And so just all those things have just added on to motivating factors for us to let us know we're on the right path and we're doing the things we want to be doing, and we feel so much better. Even though we have so far to go, we've made steps in the right direction. We still have many things that we want to change. We haven't cut off all standard food and turned everything in the direction that we want to go, but we're heading in the right direction.
We're not 100% where we want to be, but we're getting closer to that point. Like we want to grow more of our food, so you don't have to buy all your food from the grocery store. Mm-hmm. So you know exactly where it's coming from or what's in it. And that's just something, it's almost impossible to do it where we are right now.
And why is it impossible?
Well, just the space and the amount of food that we would need to store, put up for the winter, or to process, to grow.
For those that don't know, we rent on a big property. We rent a small space, so our space is limited, and our options are, we can do a lot of the things we want to do, but we can't do everything. We really want to have a milk cow, and really want to grow more of our food and have a big garden. Just can't do that to the level we want to, but we're headed in the right direction. We're making decisions. So incrementally from year to year, we'll be able to continue to produce more of our own food. If you can let us know what has impacted your life, whether it's a movie, whether it's a YouTube channel, an article you've read, a book you've read, something that's happened in your life, a health issue. It doesn't have to necessarily be in homesteading, or just something that's dramatically changed your life from being in debt to being out of debt, something that's changed the path of your life, the direction that you're headed. If there's something for that for you, leave it down in the comments, let us know about it. We'd love to hear about it. If it helped you, I'm sure it will help other people. Food Incorporated, that was the thing for us. It was the best movie we had ever seen that had that kind of impact on our lives and change the direction we were headed. If you want to see that movie, we will have links for it down in the description, and for also At the Fork that we just watched the other day. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. We will see you next time here at White House on the Hill. The night after you watch Food Incorporated, you have to
eat healthy.
You have to eat really healthy. Like a salad or fruit, or really simply, there's no eating fast food the night after you watch that.
No.
No.